This is what happens when your edges are truly seamless. Hi, my name's Amy. I've had a lot of people ask how to apply my prosthetic, so I will walk you through it step by step on how to apply this prosthetic from my fungus set so you can get a clean and seamless finish. Alright, so let's get started. I am going to use my leg. Yes, this is my leg, and no, I am not naked, I am wearing shorts. I'm using my leg because I have both my hands free then, so I can just easily show you the methods. Alright, so materials, you use a cotton pad and you can use IPA or toner just to prep the skin properly. Then I have Prosthetic, which I have in this pot. A little goes a long way. And then you have the prosthetic. Nice prosthetic, so there you go. And then I have acetone in here. This is to melt away the cat plastic. So this prosthetic is made with Baldy's, and Baldy's cat plastic is dissolvable by acetone. And lastly I have this, which is prosthetic remover in here. So let's start with skin prep. I've got a cotton pad here, I've already got IPA on it. Alternatively, you can just use toner. This stage helps remove the oils or any residue on the skin, and it just helps with a much stronger adhesion. So gently swipe the cotton pad over where the prosthetic will go. And if you're applying to the face or anywhere with any makeup on, you've got to make sure that all makeup is removed first. And if you have sensitive skin, you can use something like Dermashield as a barrier. So just a few more swipes. Let that dry. And there you go, skin is prepped. Okay, so first thing to do is to apply Prosthetic onto the back of the prosthetic. And I'm only going up to where the cat plastic is. I'm not going to apply onto the cat plastic, so you could, or I could have used a bigger brush, but this is just what I had in my collection, so I'm using a small brush. It just means there's a little bit more work involved in applying the Prosthetic. So you see, the more I work the Prosthetic into the prosthetic, the more it goes clear. So if you're not sure where you put the Prosthetic, just move it underneath the light and you can see this bit is shiny and this bit's not. This is where I need to put Prosthetic. Right, so now I'm going to set this aside, let this dry, and then in the meantime I am going to work on putting Prosthetic onto my skin. So just gently go back and forth, work the Prosthetic into the skin. The more you go back and forth with the brush, the more clear it will go. You do not want the Prosthetic to be still white like this, because if it's still white like this, it will show up underneath the prosthetic and it won't be a good adhesion, and the prosthetic will probably eventually lift up. So I've got my trusty fan just to help dry the Prosthetic. Right, I'm happy with that. So now this, just checking to see if there's any white bits still. So there's very, very tiny bit of white there. Okay, done. So the prosthetic actually has talc on it, so it looks a bit dirty. But anyway, I'm holding the prosthetic by the flashing, just so I don't touch the actual glue area. Just gently placing it down. Firmly press in the middle, work your way towards the outside. And by outside I mean towards the edges. So now I'm going to work in sections, small sections like that. Best to do it like that instead of the whole thing, because it'll get messy. and you won't have a good adhesion. So I just lifted this up a little bit and I'm going to apply some Prosthetic, just the same method as before, back and forth, work the Prosthetic into the skin. I'm going to use my fan just to make sure every single area is so. Now what you want is to lay the cap plastic down so it's taut like this, so don't go wrinkly because the wrinkles will show. So pull it taut and then place it down. Okay, and then firmly press it down, and then just repeat all the way around the edge. Alright, so now firmly press down everywhere, which I did, and then we need to remove the flashing, so I'm just going to snip the edge. And then with acetone, I'm just going to just apply it right on this side where it meets the cap plastic. You can further blend out the edges. Okay, this is finished. That's a bit like trypophobia. This step isn't essential for makeup looks, but sealing the edges with Prosthetic will help them from lifting, especially for longer wear. So using a clean sponge like this one that I cut from a larger piece, put a tiny amount of Prosthetic on. Remember, a little goes a long way, so just dab along the edges. You can use a brush, but that might leave brush strokes. So gently dab the adhesive along the edges, building up in thin layers until it looks even. The Prosthetic has gone onto the actual prosthetic, but that's okay, because it still helps to seal it. Okay, so I'm happy with how that looks, so let's dry that. Make sure it's all completely clear. Alright, so that's all completely clear. Looks a bit shiny, but we can add a light dusting of translucent powder. So this mattifies it, makes it look a lot more natural. And here we are. That's all done. So let's have a closer look. You see how this looks under different lighting effects. And that's it. You've got to take your time with it and refine those skills, then you get a perfectly applied prosthetic with invisible edges.